crow. Is it crow on?
No, it's coming in. It's right now.
One of the great things about Steven is that he keeps everything.
Red ball.
And so I'm amazed to discover the first time in Steven's secret vault that 10 years later he has all of these props from the film perfectly stored and treasured in this space. And I'm going to take you through what some of them are, and they set off some good memories in the movie. I've got a pair of balls here that come from the egg writing machine. This was an idea that came up from the think tank, which was, how do you imprint an absolutely unique fingerprint onto an object? And what one of the scientists said was that wood has as unique a grain as a fingerprint, and so if the name was carved onto a wooden block, it would actually be unreproducible, so you couldn't do a fake name.
Since each piece is unique, the shape and grain is unique. The shape and grain is impossible to forge.
So the egg machine prints out these and gradually reveals the name, and then at some point Tom Cruise realizes John Anderton, his character's name, has come up as a murderer-to-be. These are data gloves. We were sort of keen in science terms that you would no longer need data gloves in the future. But Steven was very clear, and I think, obviously correctly, that the audience doesn't understand somebody just gesturing with their hands. They need to see that there's something that makes a connection with the screen. In fact, John Underkoffler's real working system still uses data gloves, but the idea being that these points track your hand in space and then knows where your hand is in relation to the screen, and that's how the technology works for real.
We scan by way of optical tomography. White light pinpoints pulse along the entire length of the headgear and are reread after absorption through their brain tissue.
So this is Agatha's helmet from the precog chamber. One of the pieces of science that came out of talking with the head of physics at Media Lab was that light scanning of the brain is a relatively realistic piece of technology, which is to throw light beams into the skull and read brainwaves. And so this is all based on fiber optics. This is actually a fiber optic tube that puts light into the helmet, the idea being that it's reading the images from the precog. But this is something that we put a lot of time into developing, both the fact that they float in milky fluid and that their brains are scanned with light, and how all of this plugs into the machinery in the office that views the precogs.
Can you see?
This is the retinal scanner. It's called the Identiscan. This is pervasive in our Minority Report world, ostensibly for your security. This is the way to get in and out of buildings, but it's also a way of keeping the population tracked. But this is something that we designed that is in subway cars and on the outside of Precrime, and it occurs throughout the film. So this is Tom Cruise's police helmet. A lot of the complicated prop design comes, first of all, from the things that really have to fit the actors. They've got to be comfortable and cool and light, and also they really have to integrate with the costume design. And Deborah Scott's costumes and these props were developed separately, but obviously needed to integrate. But this is kind of part of the whole design of Minority Report, I think, is to try and base it on reality. These are kind of based on sports helmets and lightweight helmets that you could imagine used for real.
Fire him up!
So this is a flying pack for the cops. They have two means of transportation. One is the hover ship, which sort of works as like a giant Pez dispenser for the police, with 10 guys loaded into it for rapid deployment, and then the individual cops use these and put them on their backs like a backpack. This is the controller. And then there's a fair amount of plot around the fact that there's a lot of heat coming out of the back here, and apartments get burnt up in the hover pack chase.
Get out of my kitchen!
This is a prop that was something really enjoyable to design. This is called Spider, The idea behind the design was if you'd asked Porsche to design a grenade. So you would throw it, and as it hits the ground, legs would come out of the back, and it turns into a spider bot, which then goes and crawls up the potential victim and scans their eyes. In this world, we're saying that the security systems are all based on retinal scans, and so the spider bots are actually sort of portable retinal scanners, but all the more scary because they're robots and they're three-legged.
Get your 6 sticks ready.
Slow down, Chief. Just take it easy.
Based on the idea that weaponry of the future is essentially non-lethal, this is a 6-stick that would make vomit anyone who it touches. A sidearm. These beautiful props made by Jerry Moss and his props crew. And this one, if I can make it work, it's probably dangerous, would blow you backwards. I think you do something like that. Yeah. This was used in the car factory.
Give the man his hand.
Oh, God.
Don't put that halo on me!
This is the halo. This is sort of the most formidable thing in the cop's arsenal, which is what immobilizes the perpetrator after Precrime's caught them. And from this point on, they go into the hole of containment and go into deep storage and essentially disappear. So this is kind of the thing you don't want to have happen, or you don't want to see the cop pull out.
Don't bust my balls. You only give me 4 to some of these duds.
Sweet dreams, Chief.
So these are the illicit drugs that John Anderton goes out on the street to get. The reason he's hooked on it is because it gives him realistic flashbacks of his son, so he can watch him on film and take a hit of the drug. And this actually had a little bubble. Each one of the ones that works has a little bubble here, so that when you inhale, the bubble deflates and you understand that the drug has been ingested. But this is the thing that gets him in trouble. It's essentially an illegal drug.
What did you give me?
Smile medicine.
One of the freakiest scenes in the movie is when John Anderton goes down into the lower city to a very seedy eye doctor and has his eyes replaced in order to be able to escape the retinal scanning. And so this beautiful, elaborate prop is sort of based on an optometrist's headgear, but with the added function of being able to clamp onto your eyeballs and remove them.
The future is so much more interesting than the past, don't you think?
So this was scary to develop and for the actor to wear, I suspect.
All I'm trying to tell you is that I'll have to remove your eyes completely.
I know that, but I want to keep the old ones.
Why?
Because my mother gave them to me.
So the companion piece to the eye removal machine is the eyes that are removed. That's quite disgusting, really. John Anderton uses to trick his way back into Precrime. It's really disgusting. These are Tom's eyes. They've been copied. It's really amazing to see all these props again. I mean, it's a real tribute, first of all, to Jerry Moss and to the amazing team of designers, prop builders, and all the people who made these. It really speaks to the level of detail that Steven inspired everybody to put into this film. That's, I think, allowed it to persist as rich a kind of experience as it is.